Do not forget to follow us on all our social media platforms and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Turn on the notification button to get notified on our videos. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. How's the night? You're welcome to Newspaper Review on Asrec TV. I'm Dayo Luju, and this morning I'll be giving you the news and news headlines from newspapers, major newspapers in Nigeria. I begin with the news. Chimamanda Adichie voted Women's Prize for Fiction winner of winners. Renowned Nigerian writer Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie has been awarded the Women's Prize for Fiction winner of winners for her novel Half Over a Yellow Sun. Chimamanda's novel was voted winner over works by writers and authors including Zadie Smith, the late Andre Levi, Lionel Shriver, Rose Tremaine, and Maggie O'Farrell, amongst others. The award marks the culmination of the prize year-long 25th anniversary celebrations, forming a key part of Women Prize for Fiction's Reading Women campaign. In reaction to the award, Chimamanda Adichie, in a video shared by Women Prize on their official Instagram handle, said she is really pleased and the award is such a honor. FG owing 3,504 contractors about 69.9 billion naira, says Fashola. The Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, says the ministry is owing 3,504 contractors handling its various housing projects about 69.9 billion naira. He stated this when he appeared before the Joint National Assembly Committee on Housing on Thursday in Abuja to defend his ministry's 2021 budget estimates. Although 76.4 billion naira was allocated to the ministry in the 2021 budget, Fashola warned that the figure was grossly inadequate to execute 186 projects across the country. He listed some of the priority areas in the 2021 budget to include the completion of the construction of the remaining 2,140 housing units under the National Housing Program in 34 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory, FCT. Other priority areas identified by the minister were the completion of the construction of ongoing federal secretariats in Anambra, Bayelsa, Ekiti, Nasarawa, Osun, and Zamfara states. According to Fashola, it is important to take the maintenance and operation of buildings seriously. He also advocated that ministries, departments, and agencies, MDAs, should provide a sum representing 2 to 10% of their annual capital budgets as maintenance provision. The minister explained that maintenance and operation have the potential to employ as much as 10% of the country's working population and contribute up to 8% to its gross domestic product, GDP, as observed in the United Kingdom and in varying ratios in some other countries. I have no plan to sack Unilag workers, says VC. The recently reinstated Vice Chancellor of the University of Lagos, Unilag, Professor Oluwatoyin Ogundipe, has allayed fears of workers in the institution over plans to sack some workers. Ogundipe, who spoke on Thursday after resumed duties, denying any compilation of a list of workers to be sacked or punished. NSAS, UK reacts to petition against Nigerian government official. The UK government says it has taken notice of the petition filed against the Nigerian government by some of its people as regards the NSAS protest. The petition, which was over 200,000 signatures, is calling for the UK government to impose sanctions and restrictions on government officials over their roles in the alleged abuse of power against NSAS protesters, as well as the Lekki Tollgate incident. Edo Obaseki and deputy sworn in for second term. Godwin Obaseki and Philip Shaibu has been sworn in for a second term in office as the governor and deputy governor in Edo State, respectively. The event, a low-key one, held at the Samuel Ogbomodiya Stadium in Edo State, and the oath of office was administered by the state chief judge, Honorable Justice Esther Edigin. Okay, that's all in the news right now. We'll be going to news headlines from major newspapers in Nigeria. But before then, let's go on a quick break.
Do not forget to follow us on all our social media platforms and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Turn on the notification button to get notified on our videos. Thank you.
Welcome back. I will be taking the headlines from Nigerian Pilot. Former Ghanaian President Jerry Rawlings dies at 73. You can get that on page 11. It's unlawful for Zamfara to control gold, says Governor Okowa. You get that on the full story on page 6. UK watching. UK tells FG to fully investigate all NSAS incidents. Promises to investigate all incidents of brutality and illegal detentions. Says it will ensure security services uphold human rights. To impose sanctions on individual and entities involved in rights violation. You can get the full story on page 8. Lagos government and judicial panel dragged to court over Lekki shooting. You can get the full story on page 5. Court acts to unfreeze accounts of NSAS protesters. You can get that on page 6. In Nigerian Pilot. El-Rufai files 1.5 billion naira defamation suit against Odikalu, Omokri, and others. You can get the full story on page 9. Obaseki's ADC collapse during inauguration. You can get the full story on page 6 in Nigerian Pilot. We cannot join issues with National Assembly, says DHQ. You can get the full story on page 5. Integration, youth employment remain my priority, says Buhari. You can get the full story on page 9. FG proposes 76 billion naira capital project for housing in 2021. You can get the full story on page 7. All right, now I'll be taking the headlines from Nigerian Tribune. Pneumonia kills 162,000 children in Nigeria annually. You can get the full story on page 2 in Nigerian Tribune. 2 policemen shot as robbers attack bullion van in Lagos. Page 26. Buhari and others mourn as Rawlings dies at 73. You can get the full gist, the full story on page 5. Obaseki's ADC slums during inauguration. You can get the full story on page 28. Omo adopts Adire as school uniform. That's quite interesting. Adire at Tayandari, and it's quite interesting. You can get the full story on page 27. Trying to use what we have, to celebrate what we have in our country. Using it as school uniform is not that bad. It's really not that bad. Having Adire as school uniforms, it's not that bad. It's lifting our country, our culture up high. That's wonderful. Reduce political office holder salary and Repstel executive. You can get the full story on page 27 in Nigerian Tribune. Nigeria's $1.7 billion suit against US bank over oil deal to go to trial. You can get the full story on page 2. COVID-19. WHO links 1 in 5 deaths in Africa to diabetes. Nigeria and others need debt relief, says Oshibajo. Says getting vaccine of utmost priority for Nigeria. You can get the full story on page 3. Those who knew my husband as SAS operative stabbed him to death. Wow, that's sad. Well, you can get the full story on page 30. Tramadol rebranded to evade detection at ports, borders, customs alerted. Onyelola to chair Southwest PDP Reconciliation Committee. You can get the full story on page 3 in Nigerian Tribune. Okay, that's all on Nigerian Tribune. And right now I'll be going to Daily Trust. FG worried over mental health of COVID-19 survivors. Yes, it's quite hard. I believe it's quite hard for them because of the stigma and people knowing that, well, let's say people know them to be COVID-19 victims before, and now they're called survivors, and people get to have a second thought about them because of what they had before COVID-19. And when it comes to relationship, when it comes to relating with people, that distance will still remain, even if they've been able to survive the pandemic. It's just like HIV/AIDS, and because people believe that's human being mentality. People believe that when someone is stalked, or when someone has when somebody is a victim of a pandemic, they don't get to believe that it is over for that person, even when that person survives the illness that is contracted. So it's quite worrisome. Yes. You can get the full story on page 6. Ghanaian President Rawlings dies of coronavirus. You can get the full story on page 9. Dangote to begin fertilizer sales this month. You can get the story on page 39 in Daily Trust. Harassment. FG Malls evacuating Nigerian traders from Ghana. FG Malls evacuating Nigerian traders from Ghana. Shops sealed for over a year. Relevant MDAs to facilitate return, bringing them back not best option, says experts. You can get the full story on page 4 in Daily Trust. APC backs Sanwo-Olu on repeal of ex-governor's pension law. You can get the full story on page 36. Lassa fever kills 233 Nigerians in 10 months. You can get the full story on page 9. TSA Gombe recovers 1.48 billion naira from 256 secret accounts. Wow, that's quite huge. Okay, you can get that from page 16, and that's all in Daily Trust. Right now I'll be going to the Punch. NSA triggers circuit breaker as stocks record 5-year highest gain, and you can get the full story on page 27. FG owes 3,504 housing contractors, and Fashola tells National Assembly. You can get the full story on page 26 in the Punch. Federal government plans concession of Forest Stadia, TBS, and River Basin. You can get the full story on page 6. Forex reserves declined to $35.63 billion, lowest in 2 months. You can get the full story on page 26. 16 NSAS campaigners ask court to unfreeze account. You can get the full story on page 29. El-Rufai sues Odikalu, Omokri, and others for defamation and demands 1.5 billion naira. You can get the full story on page 5. Juanize, Afenifere, ACF disagree over civilian JTF's recruitment into army. ACF backs action, says Nigerian in war situation. FG situationalizing army, says Afenifere. It's a big shame recruitment violates federal character principle, says Ohaneze. Recruiting only Borno, CJTF contradicts principle of federalism. That's from a Middle Belt Forum. Obaseki pledged to promote energy, education, security at inauguration. You can get the full story on page 14 in the Punch. 1 killed as robbers attacked Lagos bullion van and cut away cash. You can get the full story on page 4. Alafin's young wife leaves monarch, alleged kidnapped plot. Alafin's young wife leaves monarch, alleged kidnap plot. You get the full story on page 7. 40-year-old man arrested for alleged rape of teen behind Osun Mosque. This issue of rape must really be addressed. It must be looked into more than ever, because rape has become something that is everywhere. Yes, you know, as a girl, you go out having it in mind to overprotect yourself because of what is going all around. Rape, rape, robbery, and working in the night don't entice one anymore because of that thing called rape. We really hope that the federal government is able to, curb rape in Nigeria, because it's really getting out of hand. Our girls need help. Our girls need help. Our teenagers, our youths, our women need help. We need help. I'm not compiling list of workers for sacking, says Ogun Dipe. You can get that on page 7 in the Punch, and that's all on the Punch. Right now, I'll be taking the headlines from this day. NSE activates rule to arrest surge in share prices. You can get the full story on the front page of this day. Buhari, Akufo-Addo, Adesina, Saraki, PDP, mourn Jerry Rawlings. You can get the full story on page 5. FG, WHO targets 20% of Nigeria's population for COVID-19 vaccination. Caution against trips to US, UK, and others. We are committed to getting vaccines, says Oshibajo. You can get the story on the front page of this day. Buhari, Nigeria's diversity, youthful population pose peculiar challenges. says Buhari. You can get the story on the front page of this day. UK court OK's trial of Nigeria's $1.7 billion suit against JP Morgan. You can get the full story on page 8. Okay, and that's all on today's newspapers review. Thank you for staying with us. I remain Dario Lujimore. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on all our social media handles. Have a wonderful day. See you tomorrow.